Yeah, so Clash, it's the third new game mode that we've made for Overwatch 2. The third new game mode we've made for all of Overwatch after Push and Flashpoint. I think it's probably important to go into a bit of why we even make new game modes for Overwatch. We think it's really important to always be developing new maps, and we put out several of them every year, but each time we do it, when we build a map for a known game mode, one that we already have, we can only make so many changes to that map. Like an escort map, it's always going to have 3 sections, and we use really hard corners in those to provide choke points for the offense to get through. We try to provide as much variety in those, but we really can't make something completely different until we start working on an entirely new type of objective, entirely new types of game modes. Like if you look at something like one of our escort maps like Dorado, and then you compare that to something like our Flashpoint map like Suravasa, you can see those are very different levels. And they provide different, a different type of gameplay experience too. There's different strategies when you play on different types of game modes. There's different heroes and team compositions that you might want to pick. So we think it's really important for us to continue to do that. I don't know how long we'll continually make like a new game mode every year, but we're not at the point where we think we ought to stop yet. And so let's talk a little bit about the history of Clash and the history of 5CP, because Clash has 5 control points laid out in a row. This is not the first time the Overwatch team has tried to make a 5CP map. We originally started making it for Volskaya. Volskaya Heavy Industries started as a 5CP map. Our early prototypes were of that. And we had like 5 control points laid out in a row. And originally we called it Iron Star. These images right here were pieces that Peter did a long time ago as we were working on Iron Star. And I think you did these when we were on Project Titan before Overwatch, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, how old are these images, do you think?
I don't exactly recall, but I like it. It looks cool.
This is like maybe 2010 or something like that. And so we even had 5CP maps on Project Titan that we were doing. And we even had a variant of it that was a 3CP map. And when you look at 3CP, where there's like a point in the middle and one on each side, it's almost like a symmetrical version of Assault, or what the community would call 2CP for Overwatch. I'm assuming most of you know what it is. If you're new to Overwatch 2 and didn't play the original game, 2CP was a game mode where there was an offense and a defense, and the offense would try to capture 2 control points in a row. And we had a lot of issues with 2CP that we were never really able to solve. And the 2 biggest ones, they're related to each other. The offense sometimes would just get stalled out at the first choke point in an assault map. And the way those maps were designed, because there's only 2 objectives, we really favored the defense from a level design point of view. But sometimes the offense would make no progress in the map, time would run out, they would lose. It felt like the match had like no story to it, almost like nothing even happened over the course of that game. And on the other side, sometimes because Overwatch can be a game that snowballs a bit, the offense would get an early pick, they'd win a team fight, instantly take the first point, they'd all have their ults, run to point B, wipe out the enemy team, and then like win the whole game or the round if it was competitive, and they could do all of this in under a minute.
30 seconds sometimes.
And yeah, in 30 seconds in like the most extreme examples. And it just felt like on the defense, you had like no opportunity to respond to that. Like the answer was like, you shouldn't have one person die very early in the match, you know? And it's like, it didn't work. So we spent months and months trying to fix it. And we never were really able to come up with something that worked that didn't require us to completely rebuild some of those maps. One of the things we did try was we like greatly expanded the cap time for those control points. It was like over a minute to take them some of the time. There was some promise there. It was a lot of fun. But the way those maps are built, defending a point from the defense never really worked. The map geometry didn't really like let that happen in like a fluid way, but we kind of always kept that in the back of our mind. So when we started to develop Clash, we thought of some of those experiments because we knew the community had a love for Assault, a love for, because when it played right, it was pretty amazing. Like I really loved Assault. And so we started thinking of a version of it, maybe it's not a successor, but at least some of the mechanics were inspired by 2CP, and so we started working on Clash. And so I can get into a bit of the rules and the way Clash works. That, I guess, was the preamble for the way Clash works. I was a history major. I always like go into the past before I get to the future, sorry. So there are 5 control points. And at the start of the game, each team owns the 2 control points that are closest to their side of the map. And the middle point is the neutral control point. That's the one that both teams are going to fight over. For all the people here at BlizzCon, you can think of it as BlizzCon. Point C is the Overwatch World Cup. The arena over here is point A, and the Warcraft section is point E, all the way down at the other end of the halls. The center control point is going to unlock, and both teams fight over that. When one team captures that, a new control point is going to unlock in the direction that the offense is moving. If you've played other multiplayer games with 5CP, typically those have 2 control points active at any time. We don't do it here. We just have 1 at a time. Every time we've tried to make more than 1 objective active for Overwatch, the game just doesn't work the same as it does. Like some of the magic is gone. The magic of Overwatch is 2 teams working together for a common objective, and the heroes sort of like relying on each other to do that. In this example, point D would unlock. If team 1 were to take point D, they would, then point E would unlock. And if they were to actually go all the way through and capture point E, then team 1 would win. It doesn't happen that often. It's very defensive favor at that point. It even takes longer to capture as the offense. And so typically this match starts moving back and forth, and the offense will push a certain distance, and then they won't take the next point, the defense will take it, and then the defense starts moving. So it almost feels a little bit like 2CP, but you're moving back and forth across the map. Each of these points, when you take one, your team will score a point. So we do have a maximum score in there. Sometimes 5CP can devolve into these hour-long matches where nobody's able to push all the way through. That's our early out in this phase where you get to a certain score. We're still tuning that right now, but you'll hit a certain score, and then your team will also win right there.
Aaron, would you say it's our sweatiest game mode yet?
Some people on the team say that this is like the sweatiest version of Overwatch because you do move back and forth a lot. You have a lot of moments where there's a lot less chokes in a map like this. We don't have the same sort of chokes that 2CP did. So there's a lot of free movement back and forth, and there's a lot of cool strategies you can have. You know you're going to take a point sometimes, and you start pushing your team forward to start just getting a positional advantage on the next one. It can be really fun.
Yeah, something I really like about this process that we were developing this game, not like we wait a long time before we finalize anything, and like we were just like quickly building it and blocking it out and put it in the game and test it and get the feedback and fix it and re-put it in the game. So that kind of collaboration between our team members was very meaningful and in a way very similar to the sweetest game mode, the fast-paced the game mode. So
yeah, it's like really interesting to think about. Like the team really came together for this. Our team has grown a lot over the years. We have a lot of new people on the Overwatch team, and this is the first time that we've actually created a new game mode from scratch with all new people on the team. Gavin Winter was a part of it. The level designer on it, Morton, he wasn't on the original Overwatch, and so these people like really came together. And it's like this new team, this new group of people that were able to pull this off. And I'm like so proud of all of them to be able to do something like this.